Hi, I'm Rikki. I'm the founder of IKKI Small But Brave. We make merino wool products for ages 0 to 4, and we like to describe our brand as minimalistic and timeless classics. I actually come from a wool family, so I'm 4th generation working with wool. The 1st generation making finished products, but prior to me, my dad and my grandfather were running a wool processing plant in South Africa, and my great-grandfather was actually already scouring wool in East Germany. So it really runs in the family, and I'm continuing the legacy that is our love for wool. And my career has actually always been in textiles. I studied textile engineering, and then I moved to Italy, where I lived for 7 years, working for a company that bought raw material, partly processed it, and then sold it to weavers and spinners. And after that, I moved to Asia, where I lived for 10 years. And there I worked for a company that made custom-made online suits. At the time, we were one of the first, and we sort of built up the company from scratch. And there I was responsible for setting up the supply chain and ensuring that our quality standards were going to be met, and everything that had to do with buying and sourcing. So it was an exciting time. But after 3.5 years, I decided to go out on my own because I saw a gap in the market for high-end products that were certified for parents that couldn't find these products. Now things have changed as well, and there's a lot available, but at the time it was definitely a gap in the market. And now I'm still here with running IKKI. So it's been an exciting and challenging time at the same time. Sustainability has always been important to my brand. Rather than saying sustainability, which is a widely and often wrongly used word, we say we are sustainability focused. That means we try to make good decisions to have the least possible negative impact on the environment when we make our clothes. And I think that from the get-go, we were always going to have products made from 100% wool, so they were always going to be 100% biodegradable. And we also are very much for transparency, and we really call on our customers to question us and to ask for any information they need to know how we've produced our goods, where we've produced them, and whether they've been produced with integrity. I think there's still a long way to go. We can always improve because, of course, we do have a carbon footprint like anyone who's producing something, but there are definitely measures you can take year on year, week on week, month on month that can improve the carbon footprint. But sustainability definitely a must today. I think nowadays to start a brand without incorporating the sustainability angle is close to impossible, and also doesn't give you longevity. Do you think God is moving, doing something in the fashion industry today? My quick answer is yes, because He's moving wherever His people are and wherever His people are not. And the fashion industry is so big and, incorporates manufacturing, design, e-commerce platforms, marketing. So those are all areas that are filled with people with different experiences, that are interacting, that have faith, that don't have faith. So there's a lot of opportunity for God to work, and I'm convinced that He is. But the other side of it is the end of the cycle, the branding, and the side that you see on social media, which can be dangerous, which is where people are allowing themselves to get their value and their identity through the brands that they're wearing and how they dress. And I think that's when fashion can become dangerous, and I think that's where it's our responsibility as brands to communicate the right type of message, that you are not necessarily who you wear. You are It is just a tool to enhance something that is part of your personality perhaps, or that you're using it because you admire the way it was processed. So I think there's a responsibility with the brands to not allow the connection to a brand to be given a value, or that the person wearing it then has to feel either valued or not through wearing a certain brand or not. So it's a big topic, and I think there's a lot of room to expand on it, but I'll just leave it there. How has your faith helped you navigate your career? I think it's the basis to my life and also, of course, my career. I always remember reading, never put your hope in something that you could lose, and that is, of course, your career and your family and your job. And I think that having that core faith that has just been my go-to when things get really tough has been really fundamental, especially as an entrepreneur, because when you're starting out, you're really putting yourself out there and making yourself very vulnerable, and everyone has an opinion, which is fine, but you know that on the outset that's going to be the case. But it's also negative feedback. It's also, you know, a lot of challenges being a small company that maybe bigger companies don't have to face. So navigating through all those things without having something that's keeping you going and something you can go back to would make it very, very difficult. So definitely important to me. If I had something else to say, it would probably be that having your own startup and being an entrepreneur is extremely difficult, and there are so many challenges, and I think only other entrepreneurs can really empathize what you go through. And of course you have to know your why and why you're doing everything that you do. But I think the most fundamental thing that I've realized only quite late is that, you know, if really good times happen, and even if really bad times happen, you cannot allow your work, your career to be your identity. You know, your identity has to come outside of everything that you do, because it's not who you are. And I know many people, I read this many times and I never really absorbed it, but now that, you know, we are going through a phase that is difficult because of Corona, I realized that if I made my life only about IKKI, then it would be very frustrating, because you can't put your hope in something that you are going to lose. So potentially lose. I mean, we're still here and we're still going ahead, and I'm still passionate about what I do, but you know, there's always a possibility that things could go really, really well, but also really badly. And I think that's been the lesson for me, that I need to know where my strength comes outside of what I do, my job and my career. And for me, that has been a big lesson, and I've realized that my faith has actually grown exponentially because of the challenges that I've been through. And perhaps that's why I had to do IKKI in the first place, to realize that. So we will see what happens, but it's not in our hands. We can do our part, but the outcome is never in our hands. And I think that's a really big lesson.